name is Rachel Young, and I will be presenting my project on how Pinterest affects Generation Y women's purchase intentions for apparel. The purpose of this study is to investigate how Pinterest affects the purchase intentions of Generation Y women when searching for apparel. Generation Y women being young adults, female, ages 18 to 29. Pinterest being a major social media site on the rise for both consumers and for retailers, and is a self-proclaimed tool for collecting and organizing the things that inspire you. That is according to their website. This study is very important in understanding how social media sites like Pinterest are affecting consumers and retailers. This study looks at the purchase intentions of younger consumers, in this case female, in regards to their use of social media. There were two hypotheses developed for this research project. The first one being that Pinterest greatly affects how consumers put together their outfits due to a large number of visuals that they see when accessing the site. And the second hypothesis for this project is young consumers use Pinterest to put together their outfits. For the methodology, 120 female college students attending various universities between the ages of 18 to 29 were selected for sampling to determine how Pinterest affects Generation Y women's purchase intentions for apparel. The selected students represented a portion of the population of young female college students. 32 students completed an online survey developed by the researcher via Qualtrics. The survey was administered through a Facebook page to female college students who have Pinterest accounts. Data were collected from 32 students at several universities in order to determine if young consumers use Pinterest to put together their outfits, as well as help them find clothes both online and in brick-and-mortar stores. This data was collected using an online survey developed through Qualtrics. The sampling method was non-probability sampling, and the link was posted via Facebook onto the researcher's sorority Facebook page. For the sample used in this project, data was collected from 32 female college students attending Texas Tech University between the ages of 18 to 29 to determine how Pinterest affects Generation Y women's purchase intentions for apparel. The students selected represented a portion of the population of young female students. 32 students completed an online survey developed by the researcher in Qualtrics, and the survey was administered through a Facebook page group to female college students from several universities who have Pinterest accounts. The sampling method was non-probability sampling again. For the data analysis, through this survey it was discovered that Pinterest does in fact influence female Generation Y consumers when making their apparel purchases. It was also discovered that these consumers use Pinterest to help them find similar apparel items for purchase in stores. So some of the data that I collected that was very important for developing the results and the conclusion for this project came through a lot of the survey questions. And so in this first graph, the description is, in this survey, 81% of those surveyed responded that they were likely or very likely to use Pinterest to help them find similar apparel items for purchase in stores. This means that a lot of the people, the majority, high majority of these people that were surveyed, in fact, spent a lot of time looking for apparel and trying to find something similar in stores or online as well. This next graph represents when asked if they used Pinterest to inspire their apparel choices, 91% of those surveyed responded yes, while only 9% stated that they didn't. That is very important to our hypothesis because it shows that the majority of people, in fact, whether they do actually buy something online or in store, they are still using Pinterest to create their outfit combinations and kind of using it as a guide to what they should be wearing. And then this third chart represents a very large percentage, 88%, stated that they viewed pins that drew the attention of purchasing them. So this means that whenever these people are online looking on Pinterest and just finding clothes or other items as well, they are clicking on them, which is linking them back to their sites and giving them the prices and telling them what retailer they can get them from, whether online or in store. And it just shows that a lot of people, whether they do actually search for apparel or not, if they're looking for phone cases or artwork, they're still looking at the websites and viewing these pins to see how much they cost or where they can get them. However, none of the students surveyed said that they would be very likely to buy apparel they found on Pinterest. only 7 students, 22% of those surveyed, said that they would be likely to buy apparel found directly on Pinterest. So this might show that more people are inclined to buy in-store instead of online due to either shipping costs or just not knowing the website or the retailer as well. But this was just a very interesting fact that was important to the study. So in conclusion, hypothesis 1, which was Pinterest greatly affects how consumers put together their outfits due to a large number of visuals they see when accessing the site. In this study, this hypothesis was accepted because respondents stated that they would view pins that they liked via Pinterest in hopes of finding more about that apparel. The majority of those surveys found inspiration for their apparel choices from Pinterest. And their second hypothesis is Pinterest inspires how young consumers put their outfits together. In this study, this hypothesis was accepted because respondents stated specifically that they used Pinterest to help them find outfits similar to those on Pinterest, as well as assisted them in putting their outfits together. This is shown in the data analysis through the graphs that were just described. The survey sample provided much evidence that Pinterest does affect how consumers choose to put their outfits together. So the implications and recommendations for further research. The implications for this research are that the study proves that Generation Y women are using Pinterest in order to find apparel for purchase and/or inspiration. If retailers use Pinterest to market their products, then consumers will be drawn toward their products, and this could lead to an increase in both online and store sales. And Pinterest allows retailers to create links back to their online sites so that consumers are able to locate their products, benefiting both the retailers and the consumers. This is really important because if customers are not able to find the pin that they're viewing, then it's possible that they could never get that merchandise, meaning that that company is losing out because they can't find it. And so it's really important that these links are created so that these customers can find that item and be able to purchase them or know where that they can get them. And for the recommendations for further research, a more in-depth survey would have presented better data in order to understand how Pinterest affects consumers' buying intentions. It would have been helpful to ask more questions about specific types of apparel purchased by Pinterest users instead of just a broad apparel. It might have been better to just focus on chambray or jeans or shoes or a specific type of shoes or makeup or just one specific item associated instead of making it a more broad topic. Another recommendation for this study would be collecting data from a more diverse sample. When this survey was conducted, all of those who completed it, with the exception of one individual, were Caucasian. So it's a lot harder to go ahead and apply this to a more generalized group because this may not be true for other ethnicities. Also, if this was done with males and females, it might not be true for males. And it's just really important to get a more diverse sample if this were to be further researched. And although this study did accept both of the hypotheses, a more in-depth study could show that these hypotheses were conditional based on more information. So in going with the ethnicities, it might be that, yes, 88% of the Caucasian women that are using Pinterest view these pins, but maybe not Hispanic or African American. It could be very different depending on the ethnicity or also the sex, and there can be a lot of other income levels, other bases. Another thing, it would have been really helpful to ask why people were unlikely to buy apparel on Pinterest and maybe develop like whether people wanted cheaper, if they didn't want to pay online costs, or if they would just rather shop in store to try it on. That would have been really interesting to emphasize a little more. So, thank you. That is my research project.